I'm having a lot of fun today, uh, watching this channel. I'm trying to make sure that there are no missing videos. I'm kind of not really ready to get into the code and start messing with the site because I think I'm just going to leave it the way it is. There's a bug that I've got facing me. I've got several bugs in the site. One is that whenever you bring it up, sometimes it's not playing, the volume's down, and there's a way to fix that. And I've tried to fix that bug so many times, and I just won't even bother to fix it because it really isn't that important that the site get famous. It's really just meant to be an example. And if somebody really cared enough about it, they'd probably download the source code and contribute and make their own changes. Or, I mean, the best thing you could do with the website is just basically capture the JavaScript that's loaded into your client and copy it and then make your own changes and write your own PHP server software or whatever it is that you're making and learn how to connect with the YouTube API. The only way you can do anything with these videos, like find out any information about it, is to get a YouTube API um, uh, account, um, and they give you like 10,000 credits, and with 10,000 credits, you can, like, say, I think with 1 or 2 credits, you can download all the videos that are like some video. But once you use all your credits for one day, you can't use any more. And so that really kind of, I have to be very careful what I use my credits for. Sometimes I use it to take down videos that are missing. Sometimes I use it to put up videos. Sometimes I use it to the other day I was trying to do. There's certain scripts that I've got that I need to rewrite that really shouldn't even use YouTube because all the videos that I bring in, take their information, I store them in a database, and then I just forget about them. The database is going to get so huge, but it'll never get huge enough that it will become cumbersome because to do that you have to literally get, you know, gigabytes of data, and there's just no way that you can bring together that much data. There's nothing on the web. Even Wikipedia is under half a terabyte. So there's just no way that I'm ever going to hit half a terabyte. In you know, it's I think my database has got to be around 20, anywhere between 20 and 100 megabytes. But it's at the point where it just doesn't make any sense to clone it, and all the information that's in there I can get back in there just by taking all the videos in my playlists and rerunning them through the process of getting them into the site. So I just basically just write a script that just goes and downloads all the information about the videos from YouTube's API. I think they might have a policy on how long you can store that video information, but I just store it all because I don't think anybody's really going to care too much about that. I use the database in order for me whenever I make playlists. If there's any information in the database about the videos, when I take videos down, I mark them off in the database and say this video no longer exists. It's no longer up there. And then whenever I go to bring a video into the database, I mean, into the site, I can, in certain cases, do searches. Like I have a search capability where I can do a search for videos, um, for like from a certain entertainer, and it'll bring in stuff from the YouTube. I mean, from YouTube, and it'll bring in stuff from my database, so that I make less searches on the YouTube. In fact, I can tell it only make searches through the database and not through YouTube, so that I don't, you know, challenge my credits from YouTube. And YouTube will let you get more credits, but you have to put on a show. You have to you have to prove to them that you need the credits. I would really just rather buy the credits, but their way of making money is off the consumers, or what they see as their potential audience, which is the people that are watching their content from their website. I think they could make a lot more money if they would um, permit us mashup designers to buy credits off of them, without really trying to get their um, get in good with them or anything like that. I think it would be better for them to kind of be as distant from the consumers and from the people that work the mashups and just let them do their magic, rather than getting all into it and advertising and stuff like that. Because I really think the advertisements get in the way. You've already seen what it's done to Facebook, them being kind of lenient on advertisements, and you see what it's done to Fox TV, that they don't really are not really concerned about what they put up as long as it gets views. And what they're really trying to do is make money off the advertisements. And when we bought into cable, we didn't expect to get advertisements. Why are we letting them put advertisements on stuff we were paying for even now? And Pluto TV, the idea there is you get the advertisements the old way. You don't pay for them, but they're paying for your content. Um, and that's more kosher than paying for something and then being advertised, when really, in the very first days of cable TV, nobody could stand to get advertisements. If people knew they were going to be advertised later on, whenever cable TV got up on its feet, people would have dropped it right away. They said, well, this is just the same as public TV. I don't know. They would give it a chance, but that's the thing is that people have become inured. That means that you kind of given up the fight. You've become inured to being advertised to, and really, I don't think it's necessary to accept advertisements. I think if people really protested against it, the advertising industry would kind of go to another go someplace else, because really what they need to be doing is, rather than advertising their products, they need to be, and I'm advertising too here a little bit, but the thing is that I'm not expecting people to pay. I'm not expecting people to buy into the product. And the product, I'm not going to make money off of it anyhow. The only thing I want to do is I just want people to understand that there is a solution to this problem of of not getting your MTV. And I'm just showing that there's a solution to that. This solution may not last any length of time. It may disappear tomorrow. I may kick myself for that, but I also know, and they know, that there's a YouTube DL script where you can basically download all the videos off of YouTube, and see the content for private viewing. I think it's more fun that everybody can share in it, and that's the reason why I like it. It's something that everybody, at least I can experience it, and it inspires me to talk about it. It inspires me to make videos about it and things like that. It gets me up in the morning, and it's and whenever you've lived your life, and you look back to a time when things were nice, like 40 years ago in the 80s, and some people really look back to those times, they see this music, then it reminds them of being young. And that's really what I shoot for, is that feeling of, wow, whenever I saw this, is a great movie, this great video. Your children are not going to think the same thing. I would think of it this way: whenever you were in the 80s listening to your music, how much was your parents making you listen to music from the 40s? The Glenn Miller stuff. And I'm sure there's some people that got it, but would you really push that on your children, to have to them fall in love with the same musicians. I think it's more the case they probably would fall in love with our taste, but you never know. They may actually fall in love with something from the 40s or the 30s. They may identify with that stuff more than they identify with 80s or 70s or, you know. I think these days everybody identifies with some different era, and they think, oh man, if I had just been born back then rather than now. Everybody goes through that, you know. But I think during the 80s I was happy to be in the 80s. The only problem with the 80s was this, that we had this nagging fear that Russia was going to drop an atomic bomb on the U.S. That otherwise there wouldn't have been this movie that took advantage of that feeling, Red Dawn, and people could just expect that any day Russia was going to invade America, and America was going to split in half, and communism was going to take over. And when the wall fell, everybody breathed a sigh of relief in thinking that Russia was going to turn around. It hasn't really turned around. It has to some extent. People are a little more free than they used to be.